What's up, fellas? Um, Still been receiving some feedback from my video on Monday. I would say definitely, without question, the vast majority of it, my feedback has been guys agreeing with and co-signing with just about everything I said in Monday's video, which centered around which is more important and more beneficial to your success with women. The combination of your looks, your charm, your sex appeal, and your mouthpiece, verbal communication skills, i.e., your mouthpiece, or your level of career success, financial success, status, social status, material possessions, that type of thing. And of course, I made the argument again that in general, I would say both have their place. But if I had to choose between the two, if I had to give a lean towards one over the other, I would definitely say the combination of your looks, your level of confidence, your level of masculinity, your level of persuasive charm and charisma, your overall level of sex appeal, and probably most importantly, your mouthpiece. I mean, that's the main thing that I emphasize in my coaching, is helping men improve their mouthpiece more than any other single thing. That's the number one thing I actually help men with, is helping men improve their verbal communication skills, their conversation skills. One quick example. I remember about 3 years ago, might have been even 4 years ago, some of my followers sent me a link to an article. This article will show you that career success and financial success is not the number one key to pulling women. There was a homeless man who lived in Manhattan, New York City. He was homeless, but yet he had sex with over 100 women in a year. That's right. This guy was homeless and he had sex with over 100 women in a year. What does that tell you about as far as this supposed importance of career success and finance? You know, that's more women than I've even had sex with in a year. I've never had sex with 100 women in a year, ever. So if he's telling the truth, he beat me out. I've never had sex with 100 women. I've had sex with double-digit sex partners in a year, but I've never had sex with triple-digit sex partners in a year. If there's one year I've always highlighted where I had sex with a lot of women, despite the fact that I really didn't have anything going on career-wise and financially, was 1990. That would probably be the number one year in my personal life, and I've mentioned that on videos before. Matter of fact, that younger picture of myself that I always show, that's from 1990. But yeah, 1990, I didn't have my own place. I was living with my parents the entire year. I didn't have my own car. I was using my father's number 2 car. I didn't have a steady job. I was pursuing an acting career, and to a lesser extent, a stand-up comedy career. And I just got odd jobs here and there. What else? Yeah, I had a lot of the year I was receiving unemployment. Like what's known as, when you're out of a job, unemployment. But yet, that's my second best year ever in terms of quantity of casual sex lovers. In terms of quantity of casual sex lovers, that was my second best year ever, was 1990. Yeah, I was probably having sex with 2 to 3 new and different women a month, every month. Sometimes per week. But at minimum per month. I was having sex with 2 to 3 new and different women a month in 1990. And Yeah, man, I had pussy thrown my way like crazy, man. And most of it was because of my mouthpiece. My Mode 1 highly seductive mouthpiece I would say, the number one thing that got me all that pussy in 1990. Number 2 would be my overall looks. I had a slim, lean, athletically proportioned physique. Now, some people were, not too many people, I'd say maybe, I want to say about 3 guys said that they were disappointed because I guess they wanted me to go in on my former number one beef partner, as I'll call him, my number one philosophical beef partner, which was mainly in 2017 and to a lesser extent in 2018. And that's Mumia Obsidian Ali. Because O'Shea Duke Jackson, editor-in-chief of the Negro Manosphere, did an interview with him in response to that video I mentioned in Monday's video that C Boogie did about that money doesn't necessarily lead to women being submissive to you. And basically, Obsidian argued on O'Shea's channel that yes, it does. Yeah, he basically said, I listened to about the first 45, 55 minutes. I think the whole thing was about a little over 2 hours. I listened to about the first 45 to 55 minutes of it, of O'Shea's interview with Obsidian. And yeah, Obsidian did say, he said he did believe that having money helps you improve your success with women, and more specifically, it provokes and motivates more women to behave in a deferential and submissive manner towards you. Well, here's my thing. Since people wanted me to target something Obsidian said, here's my thing with Obsidian. If he really believes that, then he's guilty of engaging in a blatant contradiction. How so? Because if anybody's familiar with Mumia Obsidian Ali, his main platform centers around the emphasis on black female fuckery. That's his main thing, black female fuckery. Okay? In other words, he believes a lot of women, and particularly a lot of black women, exhibit behavior that's defiant, disobedient, and in many respects, disrespectful and verbally abusive. Defiant, disobedient, and in many respects, just flat out disrespectful and verbally abusive. Okay, let's say that's true. Let's say that over 50% of black women in society exhibit behavior that is defiant to some degree, disobedient to some degree, and just flat out disrespectful and verbally abusive to some degree. But you're going to turn around and say that career success and financial success is the key, number one key to getting women to fall in line with your program? That's a contradiction. And you know how I am about contradictions. Like I did a whole video in late December of last year about 5 blatant contradictions that the dating coach Alpha Male Strategies had expressed. I have a keen ear for contradictions. That's a contradiction, man. Because if you're saying in one breath that having a high degree of career success and financial success is the number one thing that makes women fall in line with your program, it makes women behave in a submissive, a feminine, deferential, and submissive manner. But then you're arguing that over 50% of black women are full of fuckery. That's a contradiction, man. That's not possible. One of the two got to be invalid. You can't have both of those valid. One of those two would have to be invalid. If you firmly believe that when you have money, a high degree of career success and financial success, women are going to fall in line with your program, then that would mean that you don't experience any fuckery from women because of your level of career success and financial success. That would mean you don't experience any fuckery from women. So why would anybody on YouTube be complaining about women's fuckery if they're making a decent living? If they have an above average degree of career success and financial success, why would they even be remotely whining and complaining about women, and particularly black women. Why? If money and career success and financial success is the number one key to getting women to fall in line with your program. On the flip side, if you're going to firmly argue that a high percentage of women, and particularly black women, are full of behavior that's defiant, disobedient, and even more so disrespectful and verbally abusive, then there's no way you can legitimately argue that career success and financial success is the solution to that. There's no way, because the only way you could would be if the only men who are whining and complaining about women in general, and particularly black women, are men who are broke and unemployed. Are men who have a less than average degree of career success, and men who have a less than average degree of financial success. And we all know that ain't the truth. Like I just told you about. In 1990, I had a less than average degree of career success. I had a less than average degree of financial success. And I was on cloud nine when it came to hooking up with women, particularly for casual sex. I was on cloud nine. I would relive that year over again if I had access to a time machine. That's how much I enjoyed that year in terms of hooking up with women. And there's been a few other years where I had a less than average degree of career success, a less than average degree of financial success, but in terms of connecting with women, particularly for short-term, non-monogamous casual sex, I was having the time of my fucking life. And again, and I already said this in my last video on Monday, I know a lot of men who are making a minimum of $50,000 a year or more who be whining and bitching about one. Like, I give you an example of a client. I had a client just early this year. Black guy. He was black. A lot of guys say that tall men always have success with women. This guy was about 6'3", 6'4". He was black. He was about 6'3", 6'4". He was making no less than 90 grand a year. He was making no less, I want to say he's making a minimum about 90 grand a year. Had 2 cars. Had his own house. I don't even have a house anymore. I live in an apartment and I make over 100 grand a year. He had his own house. But yet, he was coming to me for multiple Skype consultations because he was having a lot of problems with women. He was having a lot of problems with women. His main problem was not so much he was just flat out not able to attract women. That wasn't his main problem. He was able to attract women, but his main issue was that he didn't have the balls and backbone to be more one with women. Like, he was the type of guy that say if he had 3 casual sex lovers, he would lie to each of them and give them the impression that they were his girlfriend. And what was starting to happen is that was causing him to experience a lot of drama, a lot of unnecessary drama, because the women start inevitably finding out about each other, which is always going to happen. I wrote an article about that. Yeah, man, I don't like drama, man. Some guys, they can tolerate drama. I don't like drama. I don't like drama at all. That's why I'm all about Mo One. I don't like having to cover this lie with another lie and just telling women a whole bunch of lies and shit in order to get them in bed. Anyway, that was his brother's problem, man. So his problem wasn't so much he just flat out couldn't pull women, but he recognized that he didn't have the balls and backbone to be more one with women on a regular basis. He was basically being a liar and a manipulator. But the bottom line is he still was having problems with women, and he was financially self-sufficient. Again, man, he owned 2 cars. One of his 2 cars was really nice. Had his own house. I saw parts of his house. Really nice, funky crib. He lived on the East Coast. I forget what city he lived in. He was from the East Coast. And yeah, he's making about 90 grand, 90, 95 grand a year. And he still had issues with women. So, the second thing he was dealing with a lot of manipulative time wasters, which is what's going to happen when you're not Mo One. Anytime you're not more one with women, you open the door for manipulative time wasters. Yeah, he was running into a lot of women who were attention whores, cock teasers, and just overall manipulative time wasters. So that was a secondary issue. So anyway. Yeah, but going back to Obsidian for a second, yeah, man, that's a contradiction, man. You can't say that having a high degree of career success and financial success is the key to being successful with women and the key to getting women to behave towards you in a very feminine, deferential, and submissive manner, but then turn around and say that over 50% of black women are defiant, disobedient, disrespectful, and verbally abusive. Again, that's not just a contradiction, that's a blatant contradiction. That's a blatant contradiction. That's a blatant contradiction. That would be like him saying, if you're making a minimum of 50 grand a year, or 60 grand a year, or 75 grand a year, or 90 grand a year, or 100 grand a year, or more, then you ain't gonna never ever have any problems with women being defiant, disobedient, disrespectful, and or verbally abusive. And we all know that's not the truth. Again, man, I know millionaires. Literally, I know guys who are millionaires that be whining and complaining about women. There are guys who are millionaires that be whining and complaining about women. Again, I've had some of my own clients. I've had some clients that were making six figures that were struggling to attract women. I mean, like struggling to attract women. And they were making over six figures. Another, if I had to pick on Amir Obsidian Ali, I can tell you another contradiction he had. I remember a few months ago, one of my followers sent me a link to this video he did saying that intelligence was the underrated key to attracting women and having successful women. He made some comment to the effect that most dating coaches tend to underemphasize the importance of knowledge and intelligence and education. That us dating coaches, he didn't mention me by name, but he just mentioned the category of dating coaches in general. He said they don't put enough emphasis on the guy's level of intelligence, level of knowledge, and level of education. Okay, let's say that's true. Why are you having a Pookie and Ray Ray versus an educated lame debate then? Wouldn't that nullify that? Why would you have a Pookie and Ray Ray versus educated lame if intelligence, knowledge, and level of education was the number one key to pulling women? Because if intelligence, knowledge, and level of education was the number one key to pulling women, then all quote-unquote educated lames would have their pick of the litter. They would have their pick of the litter. They wouldn't be worried about a guy who's a quote-unquote Pookie or Ray Ray. For my non-black listeners, Pookie and Ray Ray is a name that's representative of guys who basically are from the streets. Like somewhat of have a lot of street sensibilities, from the ghetto, kind of thuggish or semi-thuggish, not the most intelligent or the most articulate. Might have been a former gangbanger or former criminal type. That's a Pookie and Ray Ray. Yeah, just somebody just from the streets type person. And then in the black side of YouTube, there's been this ongoing debate, mainly perpetuated by Mumia Obsidian Ali, as well as a few others. I first heard about it from a guy named Alex, aka Don Calypso, when I used to do my blog talk radio show. He used to always talk about Pookie and Ray Ray versus the educated lames. Matter of fact, I would argue that Don Calypso talked about it first before I even knew who Obsidian was. I used to hear Don Calypso talking about that. So anyway, that's another contradiction, man. You can't say that intelligence, knowledge, and level of education is a quality that leads to you attracting a high quality of women and or a high quantity of women, but then turn around and perpetuate a Pookie and Ray Ray versus educated lane debate. That's not a contradiction. That's a blatant contradiction. That's a blatant contradiction. Blatant. So for those who wanted me to comment on Obsidian, there you go. There you go. Now, along with that, along the same lines, I had a few guys, at least 2 or 3 guys, and this is a criticism I mainly got from women. You know, I haven't had that many female haters and critics in my career, but definitely, if nowhere else, when I used to post on AskMan.com, I had quite a few female critics. And probably, arguably, the number one criticism used to be, Alan, it seems like your book, Mode 1, is all about sex. Seems like your book, Mode 1, is all about sex. And even more specifically, they would say, Alan, it seems like your book is all about casual sex. It's all about the pursuit of short-term, non-monogamous casual sex, such as one-night stands, weekend flings, and other variations of short-term, non-monogamous casual sex. And after Monday's video, I had, again, not too many people, but I want to say about 2 or 3 guys. They said, Alan, I like you, you know, the typical, usually disclaimer. Alan, I like you. I own a couple of your books. You know, I like a lot of your videos. But they went on to say something to the effect of, Alan, if I have one criticism of you, man, like, I know one guy specifically, he compared me, of all people, to the dating coach Alpha Male Strategies. I had one guy write me, he said, Alan, he said, I listen to you, but I probably more so follow Alpha Male Strategies. And he said, there's things I like about both of you guys. But he said, if there's one thing I like better about Alpha Male Strategies than you, he said, you seem to only focus on women and the pursuit of sex. Women and the pursuit of sex. Whereas Alpha Male Strategies, he emphasizes getting your career right, getting your money right, getting your body right, and just generally focusing on your purpose. Focusing on your purpose is what Alpha Male Strategies calls that. Actually, I believe he borrowed that, or if not borrowed it, stole it from Currie Wayne. Because I know that guy, Currie Wayne, who I'm not all that familiar with, but one thing I do know about Currie Wayne, that's one of the things he emphasized. He uses that phrase, focus on your purpose. Focus on your purpose. But anyway, this guy who wrote me said, Alan, he said, yeah, if I had one criticism of you, if I had to compare you to Alpha Male Strategies, he said, you seem like your focus is strictly on women and getting laid and pursuing women for sex, but you don't really talk about anything to do with health and fitness. You don't really talk about anything to do with improving your career. You don't really talk about anything related to getting your money right. Here would be my response to that. You know what I got to do first before I offer a verbal response. Insert dog face here. Now, what this gives me the opportunity, that comment and criticism by that guy gives me the opportunity to once again offer clarifications on different. So a lot of people tend to throw people who are self-improvement gurus kind of in the same bowl, and they use a lot of terms interchangeably. But there's a lot of things that are not the same. And for most people, I shouldn't have to point this out, but I find myself having to point out. I'll give you a few examples. There's a difference between a dating coach and a relationship coach. Like a lot of people use those two terms interchangeably, but they're actually different. What's the difference? A dating coach is someone whose advice centers around helping you find a new and different either long-term romantic companion and or a new and different short-term casual sex lover That's what a dating coach helps you do. They help you find a new companion. Whereas a relationship coach is someone who gives you advice on maintaining the interests of a companion that you already have. A wife you already have, a fiance you already have, a long-term girlfriend you already have, or a long-term fuck buddy you already have. That's a relationship coach. Relationship coach, they give you, their advice centers on helping you maintain the interests of a companion you already have. A dating coach gives you advice on helping you find a new and different companion. Another similar distinction is a dating coach versus PUA. I know a lot of guys in the manosphere use those two terms interchangeably. They're not exactly the same. They're similar, but they're not exactly the same. The biggest difference is a pickup artist, like there's basically 4 types of sexual companionship you can have with a woman. I've pointed this out multiple times before, and it's in my books, which would be long-term monogamous, long-term non-monogamous, otherwise known as polyamory or an open relationship, short-term monogamous, otherwise known as serial monogamy, and short-term non-monogamous, which is generally known as casual sex. A pickup artist made 90 to 99% of the emphasis of a pickup artist is on short-term non-monogamous sex. Is on short-term non-monogamous sex. That's what a pickup artist emphasizes. Short-term non-monogamous sex. They don't emphasize long-term monogamous sex. They don't really emphasize long-term non-monogamous sex. If a person mainly emphasizes, see, like long-term monogamous sex, if that was your primary or exclusive emphasis, that would put you in the category of a relationship coach. Long-term non-monogamous sex, that would put you in the category of a polyamory advisor, which actually that's one of my roles. I am actually, next to being just a men's dating coach, I am a BDSM and polyamory consultant and advisor. And that's where long-term non-monogamous sexual companionship comes in. Short-term monogamous sex, that could fall under the realm of a pickup artist too. Short-term monogamous sex. I've known some pickup artists to emphasize that. But the main thing among pickup artists is the pursuit of short-term non-monogamous sex. A dating coach is a person who emphasizes all of those together. All of those. Long-term monogamous, long-term non-monogamous, short-term monogamous, and short-term non-monogamous. And then finally, related more so to that particular guy who gave me that feedback comparing me to alpha male strategies, there's a difference between a dating coach and a life coach. A life coach. A life coach is a self-improvement guru that emphasizes multiple aspects of a person's life. In the case of a man, multiple aspects of a man's life. That's a life coach. For example, if I was to put equal emphasis on your personal and social life, your health and fitness and nutrition, your career success, your level of education, your financial management and financial success, your relationship with your family members, and relationship with just people in the community. See, that I would fall in the category of what's known as a life coach. A life coach is someone who covers multiple aspects of your life. They don't focus on just one area. Like if you focus just on career success, that of course would be a career advisor, a career consultant. If you focus just on financial management and financial success, that would be a financial advisor, financial consultant. If you focus just on health and fitness, of course, that would be a health and fitness trainer. Health and fitness trainer. Similar, along with a health and fitness trainer, if you focus strictly on eating habits, that would be a nutritionist, a personal nutritionist. Trying to think of other real specialized aspects of people's academic advisor, of course, would be related to your education and so on. I am a dating coach. I specifically call myself a verbal communications coach. That's my main emphasis. I cover a few things related to just dating in general, but my main emphasis is on helping men improve their verbal communication skills, their conversation skills, and their verbal communication skills. That's my number one emphasis, my primary emphasis. So all that to say, if alpha male strategies is giving advice that goes beyond the realm of a man's love life and sex life, then that means he's not really a dating coach. He's more of a life coach. And if that's what he is, more power to him. More power to him. Because I know for a fact Alpha Male Strategies has a background in health and fitness. Before he became a dating coach, he would call himself a health and fitness trainer. So I know he has expertise in the area of health and fitness. So I'm sure he gives a lot of health and fitness related advice. But he would be more so of a life coach. Again, my main specialty, my main number one title is dating coach in general. But more specifically, I am a verbal communications coach because that's what my number one area of expertise is. My nickname, of course, is, I have two nicknames well known in the manosphere. One is the King of Verbal Seduction. Another one is the Godfather of Direct Verbal Game Advice. The Godfather of Direct Verbal Game Advice. Secondly, as I already mentioned, I'm also a BDSM and polyamory consultant for men, women, and couples. I'm a BDSM and polyamory consultant. What else? So yeah, man, I mean, you know, why would I talk about stuff to do with improving guys' career success? Although I've touched on that occasionally. I wouldn't say I've never, ever talked about that. I've touched on that occasionally, but not much because that's not my main title. I'm not a career advisor. I'm not a financial management advisor or financial success consultant. I'm not a health and fitness trainer, although I've touched on health and fitness issues quite a bit in my videos. But I never marketed myself as any type of health and fitness advisor or personal nutritionist. Again, my main area is verbal communication skills. Here's why I disagree with this guy, though. He said something to the effect of, Alan, it seemed like all you do is concentrate on the pursuit of sex. And that's false. And I pointed this out a number of times before. That's false. That lets me know either A, you don't own my books, or B, if you own one of my books, you haven't read them thoroughly. Because quite frankly, probably at least 3 of my 4 major books are not even directly about sex. Like you take Mo 1. Mo 1 is really not about sex. That's probably the biggest misinterpretation of my book, Mo 1. A lot of people, when Mo 1 first came out, they tended to brand it as a get laid quick book or a seduction book or just a dating and relationships book. I would say it's none of those, really. Technically, it's none of, indirectly, it falls under, it's related to all those things. But technically, Mo 1 is not neither one of those. The main thing Mo 1 is about is helping men improve their verbal communication skills with women. Matter of fact, I've showed you this before, at least one video before. You know what this is? This is a I'll show you the copyright. This is a 1997 version of Mo 1. You see the copyright? 1997? This is a 1997 copy of Mo 1. Okay? You got that? Now, I'm about to show you something that proves that Mo 1 is not solely and specifically about, because I said back in 1997. But yeah, this is my 1997 version of Mo 1. Okay, see this part that says the primary objective of Mo 1? What does it say? What does it say? I'm going to read it. The primary purpose of exhibiting Mo 1 behavior is not so much to improve your success with women or to get laid more frequently, although more than likely those two things will happen. Trust me. The purpose of Mode 1 behavior is to prevent those women who have no sincere interest in dating you or have no sincere interest in having sex with you from engaging in manipulative head games with you and generally wasting your time. It's when you get manipulated and have your time and money wasted that anger, frustration, and bitterness begin to take over your thinking. And that's not a good thing. That's from my 1997 version of Mode 1. My 1997 version of Mode 1. Mode 1 is not about getting laid. Mode 1 is not a get laid quick book. I would say of my 4 major books, the number one book I would say that primarily emphasizes the pursuit of sex would be Ooh Say It Again. And even Ooh Say It Again is not 100% about just getting laid. Part of Ooh Say It Again, one of the things I discuss in Ooh Say It Again is the negative effects of Dr. Sigmund Freud's concept of the Madonna horror complex on man's behavior. I concentrate on the sexual duplicity of women, managing the quality and tone of your voice when talking to women, reading women's body language. I cover a few things in social programming is a big issue, and Ooh Say It Again, how your social programming affects your behavior and your ability to hook up with women. So there's a lot of things I cover in Ooh Say It Again, but I would say out of my 4 books, that's the main book that's primarily about the pursuit of sex, and even probably more so the pursuit of casual sex. But Mode 1 is mainly about, I would narrow it down to 3 things. Number 1 objective of Mode 1 is to discourage men from being liars with women, misleading manipulators with women, and just generally verbal cowards with women. In other words, to avoid Mode 3 behavior. Number 2 objective of Mode 1 is to prevent men from becoming angry, bitter, resentful, and hateful misogynists or borderline misogynists towards women. In other words, avoid Mode 4 behavior. And number 3 is to discourage men from maintaining a verbal communication style that is overly polite, overly cautious, too beat around the bush, and just generally too vague and ambiguous. Also, to discourage men from engaging in too much flattering, entertaining, and trivial small talk with women. In other words, avoid Mode 2 behavior. So that's what Mode 1 is about. It's mainly about your verbal communication skills and becoming a more confident, honest, and real and authentic verbal communicator. Possibility of sex. That's all about helping men identify the various manipulative head games that women employ with men in today's dating scene, which you could say is indirectly related to sex, but it's more about realizing that women use your desire for sex and your fear of being criticized and fear of being rejected against you. They use it against you to manipulate you. And then the Beta Male Revolution is about pointing out that that period between 1960 and 1974 had a profound impact on today's dating scene, as well as the advent of the internet. So for other people who say, Alan, you just concentrate on the pursuit of sex, more specifically the pursuit of casual sex, you don't own my books if you believe that. Or if you own my books, you ain't read them thoroughly or listened to them thoroughly. Because if you did, you would realize that sex is a secondary priority for me. I'm all about helping men improve their verbal communication skills and prevent themselves from engaging in manipulative head games with women. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, in my Patreon exclusive portion, someone was asking me, Alan, I hear you talk about options And you say one of the number one keys to keeping a woman in check is having at least 2 or more options for female companionship. But how can you accumulate multiple options if you have yet to accumulate even one option for female companionship? How can you do that? I'm going to discuss that briefly in my Patreon exclusive portion.